Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Swayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotra Satasri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotra Satasri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namah Vishnu Padaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Iti vyavasito buddhya Narayana grihitaya Hitvanya bhavam agyanam Tataksvam bhavamastataha Iti vyavasito buddhya Narayana grihitaya Hitvanya bhavam agyanam Tataksvam bhavamastitaha Iti vyavasito buddhya Narayana grihitaya Hitvanya bhavam agyanam Tataksvam bhavamastitaha grihitaya Hitvanya bhavam agyanam Tataksvam bhavamastitaha Pritibhya Vasito Buddhya. Vaishnavis. Pritibhya Vasito Buddhya. Pritibhya Vasito Buddhya. Iti thus Vyavasitaha, having firmly decided, Buddhya, by proper intelligence, Narayana Grihitaya, completely controlled by the mercy of Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hitva, giving up. Anyabhavam, consciousness other than Krishna consciousness. Ajnanam, which is nothing but constant ignorance and darkness. Tataha, thereafter. Svam, his original position as an eternal servant of Krishna. Bhavam, devotional service. Astitaha, situated. Translation. Thus Maharaj Khatvanga, by his advanced intelligence in rendering service to the Lord, gave up false identification with the body full of ignorance. In his original position of eternal servitorship, he engaged himself in rendering service to the Lord. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. When one actually becomes purely Krishna conscious, no one has any right to rule over him. When situated in Krishna consciousness, one is no longer in the darkness of ignorance. And when freed from all such darkness, one is situated in his original position. Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishna Nityadas. The living entity is eternally the servant of the Lord. And thus when he engages himself in the service of the Lord in all respects, he enjoys the perfection of life. Om Ajnana Timarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Padantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you for allowing me to engage in some service to all of you by trying to enlighten the purport of Srila Prabhupada, which is very short but very powerful. I pray to the senior Vaishnavas that I may speak properly in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta, which has been handed down to us by Srila Prabhupada and our Vaishnavacharyas. So we are continuing with the story of Maharaj Khatvanga. This shows how powerful Srimad Bhagavatam is, the spotless Purana. Sutta Goswami was saying that when Krishna left, all Dharma, Gyan left with him. But where can we find Dharma, Gyan? Where can we find something good in this world? In this Kali Yuga especially. So Krishna sva dhammopagate Dharma Gyana adibhi saha Kalo nasta drisham esha Pura narka dunodataha. This Bhagavat Purana, which is Krishna himself, is so powerful, and it's giving us this wonderful story of Maharaj Khatvanga, who engaged in the service of the demigods. He was a very powerful warrior, and so he fought for the demigods. And because of his service to the demigods, he received a benediction. And instead of using this benediction for his personal sense gratification, instead of using this benediction to get wealth, fame, power, opposite sex, he used it to ask a very important question. And he asked, "Can you please tell me how much time I have left? When am I going to die?" And the demigods revealed to him that you have just one moment more. All of us were going to leave these material bodies. We're going to die. But we don't know when. And Maharaj Khatvanga, following in the footsteps of Maharaj Parikshit, they knew when they were going to die. And so they meditated on the lotus feet of Krishna. They focused their mind on devotional service. But we can see that even Maharaj Khatvanga, it wasn't just all of a sudden he started engaging in devotional service. He talks about how in his life, nothing was more dear to him than the Brahminical culture and the Brahmanas. In his childhood, he was always attached to that which was religious. And he was attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so, throughout his life, he was always trying to stay engaged in devotional service. Which means at the time of death, we're going to be tested on what our life is all about. And so Maharaj Khatvanga, he's giving us a very, very powerful example of he knew when he was going to die. And he immediately, by his advanced intelligence in rendering service to the Lord, he gave up false identification with the body full of ignorance. And Srila Prabhupada in his purport, he gets straight to the point that we're all eternal servants of Krishna. Jiver Srupa Hoy Krishna Nityadas. And the jiva is eternally the servant of Krishna, always. But somehow or other, we've fallen into this material world due to our wanting to enjoy separately from Krishna. And because of this, we identify with matter. We identify with the material world. We identify with this gross material body, thinking that I am this body and everything in connection to it is mine, aham mameti. And Srila Vyasadeva, in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 7, after he had received instructions from Narada Muni on how to write Srimad Bhagavatam, he sat down in meditation in his ashram to focus his mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead after speaking with Narada Muni. And he received darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. But along with Krishna was his external energy, who was under Krishna's full control. And he states that this external energy is the one who puts the living entities into so much suffering, because they identify with the three modes of material nature. They identify with the body, and then they have to go through so much suffering. But then Vyasadeva, he says that they can remedy this by engaging in bhakti yoga. And we know, Mam Chayovya Bacharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate Sogunan Samatityaitan Brahma Bhuya Kalpate. By engaging in bhakti yoga, one can become free from the modes of material nature. When we're in the false identification with the body, then the three modes of material nature, they're gunas, they're ropes, and we're puppets dancing according to the three modes of material nature's will. But, as the purport points out, when one becomes actually purely Krishna conscious, then no one has any right to rule over him, because Krishna is fully in control of his external energy. So the living entity is eternally servant of Krishna. Savai pumsa paradharma bhaktiyad hokshaje. That the supreme dharma, and dharma, Srila Prabhupada talks about, is that which sustains existence. So our dharma is to engage in Krishna's service. But we've forgotten that. We've forgotten about Krishna's service. And there's a very nice pastime of Srila Prabhupada. He was walking in New York, and it was winter. And he was walking with his cane, and many disciples were with him. Not many, but a couple devotees were with him walking. And one devotee noticed that Srila Prabhupada, when he would walk by the sidewalks, there would be little puddles, and anybody who's lived in cold areas, you know that the ice forms over the water, but it's like a thin layer, and it could be broken, and there's water underneath. And so he noticed that Srila Prabhupada would walk, and then he would purposely take his cane and break the ice. And then he would walk some more, and he would break the ice. And the devotee could see that Srila Prabhupada's doing this on purpose for some reason. And so he asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, why are you breaking the ice? And Srila Prabhupada said, I am returning the ice to its natural dharma, to its natural liquidity. So, Sarvapadi vinirmuktam tat paradvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti uchare. Bhakti yoga means engaging the senses in the service of the master of the senses, Krishna. And by engaging in bhakti yoga, all of our upadis, our false designations, they become removed. In this world, because we're identifying with the body, we connect ourselves with this nation, or I'm American, Indian, South American, I'm Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, Christian, part of this nation, against that nation. We come up with so much upadis. But Bhakti Yoga immediately gets rid of all those upadis, those false designations, and puts us back into our original position of Jivar Swarupahoy Krishna Nityadas. And Bhakti is actually eternally within the heart. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabanoy. And so Srila Prabhupada came to return us to our natural position. And something very interesting about Bhakti is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his Madhurya Kandambani, he points out that Bhakti Devi, the supreme goddess of Bhakti, who is Swarup Shakti of Krishna, she is independent as much as Krishna is independent. Meaning there's no cause for bhakti. There's no material cause for bhakti. Bhakti Devi is fully independent. But he says that Bhakti Devi will manifest from the pure devotee's heart. So Srila Prabhupada came across on the Jaladuta to spread Bhakti Devi throughout the whole entire world. There's no cause for Bhakti Devi except associating with one who has Bhakti Devi in his heart, in their heart. And so Srila Prabhupada spread Bhakti throughout the whole world, changed the whole world. We see amazing things are happening around our society, around the world. And even Srila Prabhupada in Srimad Bhagavatam 176, he talks about the independent nature of Bhakti. In the purport, We know that Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabanoy, Shavanadi Shuddhachete Kari Odai, our reawakening of the dormant love of God is through chanting and hearing. But Srila Prabhupada makes a very strong point in the purport and touches or alludes to how bhakti is independent. And so Srila Prabhupada says, it is a great transcendental science and begins with the process of hearing and chanting the name, fame, glory, etc. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Revival of the dormant affection or love of Godhead does not depend on the mechanical system of hearing and chanting, but it solely and wholly depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. When the Lord is fully satisfied with the sincere efforts of the devotee, he may endow him with his loving transcendental service. But even within the prescribed forms of hearing and chanting, there is at once mitigation of the superfluous and unwanted miseries of material existence. So Srila Prabhupada says you can't just reawaken through mechanical hearing and chanting. It has to come from the causeless mercy of the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada has stated that he has made our good fortune. Srila Prabhupada has made our good fortune. He's the one who brought bhakti to everyone here. And so you get bhakti through Guru. Brahmanda, Brahmade, Konya, Bhagavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade by Bhakti Lata Bij. The real prasad of Guru is this Bhakti Lata Bij, the seed of devotion, which grows in the heart. And we know that with the seed of devotion, we have to take very much care of it. We have to be very careful to protect it from different weeds that can grow. We have to constantly water it through hearing and chanting. And that Bhakti Lata Bij, the creeper of devotion, that seed will grow all the way up to Goloka Vrindavan and all the way to the lotus feet of Krishna, where we can taste the fruit of that Bhakti Lata, which is love of God. And we have to be very careful of the Hatimata, the mad elephant offense that can just rip up the Bhakti Lata Bij. And it's very interesting how through Guru we get this prasad of Bhakti Lata Bij, the seed of devotion. Somebody brought to my attention that there is a recent, I guess you could say like a short documentary about how televangelists are using the seed harvest faith preaching system. And I didn't really know about this, but I guess a lot of televangelists out there, what they promote is that you give seed, which is money. You give some money to our congregation, and then you'll get some harvest back. You'll be able to either cure cancer, you'll be able to get wealth. They promise so many different things. Even one person, he was begging his congregation for $65 million in seed so that he could have his own private jet for preaching purposes, which they later found out he was going on ski trips and hunting trips and so many different things. And they even say that, oh, you have credit card debt? That's all right. You give your seed of $1,000 and Jesus will get rid of that credit card debt. So this is what they're promoting. They're trying to give the seed and harvest preaching, but the real seed is bhakti, devotional service to Krishna. Not trying to get money or power or fame, but to actually engage in the Lord's service. Anya bilashita shunyam gana karma dhyanavitam anukulyena krishnanu shilinam bhaktir uttama. Srila Rupa Goswami gives us the definition for Shuddha Bhakti, real devotional service. And our Vaishnavacharyas, they talk about how in this verse there's the Svarup Lakshana, which is the intrinsic characteristic of this verse, and then there's the Tatastha Lakshana, which is the, I guess you could say, like the side characteristics. So the main characteristic of Anyabilashita Shunyam Karma Dhyanavitam is Krishnanunam Shilanam. that which is pleasing to the Lord, that which is going to please Krishna. That's the main characteristic of bhakti. And the side effects are freedom from all material desires and the uncovering of jnana and karma. So you can see that when you engage in devotional service, automatically renunciation, automatically knowledge comes. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha. All these things come naturally when you engage in the service to Krishna. And we know that there are 5 most important limbs of devotional service, according to Srila Rupa Goswami. And that is chanting the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Engaging in deity worship, sadhu sangha, associating with the devotees, living at the holy dham, and studying Srimad Bhagavatam. And today is the Tirobhav Mahotsava, or the disappearance celebration of 2 great Vaishnavacharyas, Raghunandan Thakur and Vamsidas Babaji. And it's amazing that both of their disappearance days are on one day, because they both show an intense example of deity worship. Raghunandan Thakur was the son of Mukunda Das. And in a recent class, Amala Bhakta Prabhu, he mentioned Mukunda Das and how Mukunda was taking care of one king. He was a physician, and the king was being waved with the peacock fan. And Mukunda Das saw the peacock feathers, and he remembered Krishna, and he went into such ecstasy that he fell off the stage. The king thought he was dead. How could he fall that hard? But he got up and he just said, I'm not feeling very well today. He hid his ecstasy. But he had a son named Raghunandan Thakur. And Raghunandan, when he was a little boy, his father daily would engage in the deity service of their deity, Lord Narayan. And so one day he had to leave early for service. And so he told Raghunandan, who was a small boy, that please go and offer this rasgula to our deity. And when I get home, we'll take prasad, but just see that it's done. And so Raghunandan Thakur, being a little boy, he went to the deity, and he didn't know the mantras, he didn't know all the mudras, anything like that. And he placed the rasgula in front of the deity, and he said, Lord, please take the prasadam, take the bhoga. And the deity didn't move. And Raghunandan, he again and again, he pleaded, and he even started crying that if you don't take it, my father's going to chastise me. I'm supposed to get you to eat this. You're supposed to take this. And so the deity, he came and he took the rasgula and ate it. And so later on, Mukunda Das, he came home and he asked his wife, did Raghunandan do what he was told? And she said, I don't know. He was in the deity room for a long time, and he didn't come out with any of the prasad, so I think he ate it. So Mukunda Das, he inquired to Raghunandan what happened. And Raghunandan Thakur said, I did what you asked. And at first he wouldn't eat it. But then the Lord came and he ate it. And Mukunda said, what do you mean he ate it? He ate it. And so Mukunda Das, he thought, okay, I want to see for myself. And so the next morning he had Raghunandan offer rasgula again, and Mukunda Das was hiding. And so Raghunandan, he pleaded with the deity, please come and take the bhoga. And so the Lord came, and Mukunda came out, and he was still holding the rasgula. And that rasgula is still there in that temple today. You can see it. And so Raghunandan, he didn't just think that the deity was a stone or a statue. He actually believed that this is Krishna himself. And Vamsidas Babaji, who was great Mahabhagavat, so great that he could not be understood with the material mind. He was the epitome of renunciation. And he would carry with him his little Ladu Gopal. He had deities of Gaur Nitai and Radha Govinda. And he would take them everywhere. Sometimes he would even just hold Ladu Gopal walking around. But the interesting thing is that he never spoke to anybody. He only spoke to his deities. Even if somebody came in and started talking with him, trying to converse with him, he would just talk towards the deities and would answer, saying that, oh, this person says this, but he would just answer to the deities. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they both met Vamsidas Babaji and automatically realized that he was a true Vaishnava Babaji. And so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would send firewood, he would send things to the different Vaishnavas to maintain Vamsidas Babaji. But there was one time where Vamsidas Babaji, certain Gaudiya Math devotees visited him, and they couldn't understand his mood, they couldn't understand him. And so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur actually forbade his disciples to go and have personal darshan of him. He said, if you want to have darshan of Vamsidas Babaji, from a distance, pay your respects, and then leave, because you can commit offenses. And in 1969, Srila Prabhupada in Los Angeles, he mentioned Vamsidas Babaji, stating that if you think that the deities are stones and statues, then they'll remain idols, they'll remain stones and statues to you. But like Vamsidas Babaji, who actually saw that here is Radha and Krishna, here's Gaur Nitai, here's Rukmini Dwarkadish, then you can actually converse with them, and they'll speak back to you. This is what Srila Prabhupada said. So by these two examples, we can really meditate on deity worship, what it really means to have darshan of the deity, how to serve the deity. We see the whole community is surrounded on service to Rukmini Dwarkadish. So I'll end here if there's any questions or comments. Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananti Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki.